Act as if everything always works out for you. Not because you have evidence, not because the outer world has given you guarantees, not because you have eliminated uncertainty, but because you have remembered who you are. You are not a fragile body navigating a hostile universe. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are not a bundle of past mistakes trying to outrun yesterday. You are a divine spark of intention, an individualized expression of the same invisible intelligence that spins the galaxies and opens the petals of a rose without strain. What would your life feel like if you truly believed that everything was always unfolding in your favor? Not just the pleasant moments, not just the victories, not just the times when the phone rings with good news. I am speaking of everything. The delays, the losses, the rejections, the unexpected detours. What if you could look at all of it and say quietly within your heart, this too is working for me? The ego trembles at those words. The ego wants control. It wants prediction. It wants certainty before commitment. It says, I will relax when I know the outcome. But the soul whispers, relax first, and the outcome will rearrange itself around your peace. The ego is addicted to fear because fear gives it a sense of identity. The ego thrives on problems because without problems it has no role to play. But you are not your ego. You are the awareness behind it. You are the silent witness who can choose again. Imagine an orange. When you squeeze an orange, what comes out? Orange juice. Never apple juice, never vinegar, only what was already inside. And when life squeezes you, when plans collapse, when relationships end, when money seems scarce, what comes out? If anxiety pours out, it was already within. If bitterness spills over, it was waiting there. But if trust flows out, if calm pours forth, if faith rises to the surface, that too was already within you. Acting as if everything works out for you is not pretending. It is choosing what you allow to be inside before the squeezing begins. The universe responds not to your words, but to your vibration. Everything is energy. Your thoughts are energy. Your beliefs are energy. Your expectations are energy. When you walk into a room expecting hostility, your body tightens, your voice changes, your eyes scan for threat, and you subtly invite the very resistance you fear. But when you walk in grounded in the quiet conviction that everything is aligning for your highest good, your shoulders soften, your breath deepens, and the field around you shifts. People feel it. Circumstances bend around it. Doors open in ways that logic cannot explain. This is not magical thinking. It is alignment. It is the law of resonance. The outer world mirrors the inner state. If you see yourself as supported, you notice support everywhere. If you see yourself as guided, guidance appears in countless forms. The problem is not that life is against you. The problem is that you have been trained to expect struggle. You have been hypnotized by stories of scarcity, competition, and survival. You have been told that life is hard, that success is rare, that you must fight for your worth, and so you fight. And in fighting, you forget that you are already whole. Acting as if everything works out for you is a radical act of spiritual defiance. It is saying to the old conditioning, I no longer bow to you. It is deciding that your inner state will not be determined by headlines, by opinions, by past experiences. It is understanding that you are not here to react to life. You are here to co-create with it. Think of the ocean. On the surface there are waves, chaotic, rising and falling, crashing and dissolving. If you identify as the wave, every change feels like a threat. Every shift feels like death. But if you identify as the ocean itself, you know that no wave can harm you. The wave may rise and fall, but the ocean remains vast, steady, and eternal. When you act as if everything works out for you, you are identifying as the ocean, not the wave. You are remembering that beneath the surface turbulence of events, there is a deeper current guiding you. What if that job you didn't get was protection? What if that relationship that ended was redirection? What if the delay that frustrates you today is positioning you for something beyond your current imagination? The ego sees isolated incidents. The soul sees orchestration. The ego asks, why is this happening to me? The soul asks, how is this happening for me? When you wake up in the morning, before your feet touch the ground, you have a choice. You can scan your mind for worries, rehearse potential problems, and brace yourself for disappointment. Or you can whisper to yourself, I am aligned with a loving universe. Today unfolds perfectly. I am supported in ways I cannot yet see. That whisper changes your chemistry. It changes your posture. It changes the lens through which you interpret every encounter. To act as if everything works out for you is to live from intention rather than reaction. Intention is not forcing, it is not striving, it is a quiet knowing. It is planting a seed and trusting the intelligence of the soil. The farmer does not dig up the seed every day to check if it is growing. He plants, waters, and trusts. Yet, how often do you plant a dream and then uproot it with doubt? How often do you sabotage your own vision by asking, but what if it fails? Failure is an ego concept. Life does not fail. Life evolves. A caterpillar might call the cocoon a prison, but the soul knows it is transformation. You cannot see the full design from your limited vantage point. That is why faith is required. Faith is not belief in an external deity who plays favorites. Faith is trust in the intelligence that beats your heart without instruction. Look at the sky. Clouds pass through it, dark, heavy, storm-filled clouds. Yet the sky remains untouched. The sky does not resist the storm. It allows it. And because it allows it, the storm eventually passes. You are that sky. Your thoughts, your emotions, your circumstances, they are the clouds. Acting as if everything works out for you is resting as the sky. It is knowing that no cloud, no matter how dark, can stain your true nature. There are no justified resentments. Resentment is the ego's way of insisting that the past should have been different. But the past is a closed chapter. You cannot rewrite it, but you can reinterpret it. You can see every wound as a teacher. You can see every betrayal as a lesson in self-worth. You can see every hardship as a strengthening of your inner muscles. When you release resentment, you free your energy. And freed energy becomes creative power. Forgiveness is not condoning behavior. It is reclaiming your alignment. When you forgive, you say, I refuse to carry this weight any longer. I choose peace over being right. Acting as if everything works out for you includes trusting that even the painful chapters had a role in sculpting your soul. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. You are already enough. Not when you achieve more, not when you earn more, not when others approve of you. You are enough now. Acting as if everything works out for you requires this foundation. Because if you secretly believe you are lacking, you will interpret every setback as confirmation of unworthiness. But when you know you are enough, setbacks become strategy, not judgment. Ask yourself, who would I be if I truly trusted life? How would I speak? How would I walk? How would I love? Would I cling so tightly? Would I worry so compulsively? Or would I soften, breathe, and allow? The ego says, protect yourself. The soul says, express yourself. The ego says, compete. The soul says, create. The ego says, there is not enough. The soul says, I am connected to infinite supply. Acting as if everything works out for you is choosing the voice of the soul again and again, even when the ego shouts. You are not here to control the universe. You are here to align with it. Control is fear disguised as strength. Surrender is strength in its purest form. Surrender does not mean passivity. It means inspired action without attachment. You take steps. You make plans. You show up fully. But you release the need to dictate how and when the results must appear. Consider how much of your anxiety comes from trying to choreograph outcomes. You replay conversations before they happen. You script responses. You anticipate objections. And in doing so, you exhaust yourself. What if instead you prepared your energy? What if you focus not on controlling events, but on embodying trust? When you act as if everything works out for you, you begin to notice synchronicities. A book falls into your hands at the perfect moment. A conversation provides exactly the insight you needed. An opportunity appears just as you were about to give up. These are not accidents. They are reflections of alignment. The universe is always communicating, but you can only hear it when you are not drowning in fear. You are a divine being having a human experience. Your essence is timeless. Your body will change. Your roles will shift. Your circumstances will evolve. But the awareness that animates you is eternal. When you identify with that awareness, fear loses its grip. Death itself becomes a transition rather than an end. And if even death cannot defeat you, what truly is there to fear? Act as if everything works out for you, and watch how your relationships transform. Instead of approaching others from need, you approach from fullness. Instead of demanding validation, you offer presence. Instead of fearing abandonment, you trust that those meant to walk with you will remain, and those who leave are clearing space for deeper alignment. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. If you are anxious, you attract situations that mirror anxiety. If you are peaceful, you attract circumstances that reflect peace. This is not punishment or reward, it is resonance, it is law. And you have the power to choose your state in every moment. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the version of you who knows, truly knows that everything is unfolding perfectly. See how that version stands. See the lightness in their eyes. Feel the steadiness in their breath. That version is not in the future. That version is available now. It is a decision, not a destination. The mind will argue. It will present evidence of past disappointments. It will say, be realistic. But realism, as defined by the ego, is often just recycled fear. True realism acknowledges the unseen forces at play. True realism understands that life is more mysterious and benevolent than the intellect can grasp. When you drop resistance, you drop suffering. Pain may still arise. Pain is part of the human experience, but suffering is the story you attach to pain. Acting as if everything works out for you dissolves the story. It allows the experience without the drama. You are not separate from the source of creation. The same intelligence that paints sunsets and orchestrates seasons flows through you. When you align with that intelligence through trust, you move from efforting to allowing, from striving to being, from chasing to receiving. Say to yourself quietly, I am aligned with divine order. I am supported. I am guided. I am safe. Feel the truth of those words not as a wish, but as a remembrance. Because deep down, beyond the noise, you know this is true. The soul has always known. Acting as if everything works out for you is not denying challenges. It is redefining them. It is seeing obstacles as stepping stones. It is understanding that sometimes what appears to be a breakdown is actually a breakthrough in disguise. It is trusting that there is a larger canvas upon which your life is being painted. You cannot always see the whole painting from where you stand. You see a brushstroke here, a shadow there, and you judge prematurely. But the artist, the infinite intelligence, sees the masterpiece in its entirety. Your role is not to critique each stroke. Your role is to trust the hand that guides it. And so you breathe, you release, you align. You act as if everything works out for you. Not someday, now, in this moment. You choose trust over tension, faith over fear, love over control. And in that choice, you step into your true power. Not the power to manipulate outcomes, but the power to remain centered regardless of them. This is freedom. This is awakening. This is remembering that you are not a small, struggling fragment in a chaotic world. You are an expression of the infinite, dancing in form for a brief and beautiful moment. Let that dance be guided by trust. Let it be infused with intention. Let it be anchored in the quiet, unshakable knowing that everything, absolutely everything, is conspiring in your favor. And when doubt returns, as it sometimes will, smile gently at it. Do not fight it. Do not shame it. Simply return to the truth. Return to the breath. Return to the knowing. Act as if everything always works out for you. And watch as your life becomes living proof that it does. And as we continue this unfolding, let us bring balance into the story of your life. Because even in the deepest spiritual truth, there is rhythm. Inhale and exhale, expansion and contraction, night and day. Plot balance is not about eliminating difficulty. It is about understanding that contrast is sacred. Without shadow, light has no dimension. Without valleys, peaks would have no majesty. The ego calls contrast unfair. The soul calls it necessary. If everything always works out for you, that must include the chapters that seemed confusing, the seasons that felt barren, the relationships that stretched you beyond comfort. A story with only sunshine becomes flat, predictable, and uninspiring. But a story with tension, uncertainty, and ultimate transformation, that is the story of awakening, that is the hero's journey. And you, whether you realize it or not, are both the hero and the author. Plot balance means you stop demanding that every moment feel good and begin trusting that every moment serves good. There is a difference. The caterpillar does not enjoy the dissolution inside the cocoon. The old identity literally melts. Structures collapse. Familiarity disappears. If you could interview the caterpillar mid-transformation, it might say, everything is falling apart, but from a higher vantage point, everything is falling into place. How often have you mistaken the cocoon for catastrophe? When something unexpected interrupts your carefully arranged plans, the ego screams, "This is wrong." But what if the interruption is intelligence? What if the closed door is redirection? What if the delay is divine timing adjusting itself with precision beyond your comprehension? To live in plot balance is to trust the arc of your life. Every great story has rising tension, moments of doubt, crossroads where the protagonist must choose between fear and faith. If there were no crossroads, there would be no growth. And growth is why you are here. Not to accumulate trophies, not to impress observers, but to expand in consciousness. Acting as if everything works out for you does not mean you deny the rising tension. It means you refuse to interpret tension as defeat. You see it as momentum. You understand that resistance builds strength. When you lift a weight, you do not curse the heaviness, you recognize it as the very force that strengthens your muscles. Why then do you curse the emotional or spiritual weight that strengthens your character? Plot balance invites you to embrace both the calm and the storm. The ocean is not always still. There are tides, there are currents, there are tempests. But the ocean does not abandon itself when waves grow fierce. It does not say, "I have failed as an ocean because I am not calm today." It remains ocean. You remain soul. And here is the deeper truth. What you call problems are often initiations. They are invitations into a higher version of yourself. The argument that forced you to speak your truth. The loss that taught you self-reliance. The uncertainty that led you inward. Without those chapters, the plot would lack depth. Your compassion would be shallow. Your wisdom would be theoretical. Balance also means allowing joy without suspicion. Many people can tolerate struggle more easily than happiness. When things go well, they brace for disaster. They whisper, "This won't last." That whisper is a seed. And the universe, being obedient to your vibration, says, "As you wish." Acting as if everything works out for you includes sustaining joy without apology. It includes believing that goodness can endure. Why must you earn ease through suffering? Why must peace be fragile? Who taught you that life is a battlefield rather than a garden? The ego thrives on drama because drama confirms its importance. The soul thrives on presence because presence confirms its power. Plot balance is choosing presence in both triumph and trial. When success arrives, you remain humble and grateful. When setbacks arise, you remain centered and curious. You do not swing wildly between arrogance and despair. You stand rooted. Imagine a tree. In spring it blossoms. In autumn it sheds. In winter it stands bare. In summer it offers shade. The tree does not cling to its blossoms when the season shifts. It does not panic when leaves fall. It trusts the cycle. That trust is plot balance. That trust is spiritual maturity. Your life has seasons. There are times of expansion where opportunities seem endless and doors open effortlessly. There are times of pruning where relationships, habits, and identities fall away. Both are necessary. Expansion without pruning becomes chaos. Pruning without expansion becomes stagnation. The universe knows how to balance your growth better than your ego ever could. Acting as if everything works out for you means trusting the pruning. It means believing that when something is removed, space is being prepared. You may not see what is coming, but you can feel the clearing. And in that clearing, new life takes root. Balance also calls you to responsibility. This is not passive spirituality. You are not a spectator waiting for destiny to entertain you. You are a participant. Your thoughts are brushstrokes. Your beliefs are seeds. Your actions are currents that influence the unfolding. Acting as if everything works out for you requires alignment between belief and behavior. If you say you trust life but act from fear, the vibration is mixed. So ask yourself gently, where am I still gripping? Where am I still rehearsing worst-case scenarios? Where am I still defining myself by past chapters? The past is a completed scene. You may revisit it for wisdom, but you cannot live there. Plot balance demands forward motion. Even reflection must serve expansion. If you cling to old pain as identity, you distort the story. You freeze the narrative in a moment that was meant to pass. You are not the betrayal. You are not the failure. You are not the diagnosis. You are the consciousness that experienced those events and grew because of them. The hero in every story faces adversity, but the hero does not become adversity. The hero transforms through it. And transformation is rarely symmetrical. Sometimes you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Sometimes clarity arrives and then confusion returns. This is not regression, it is integration. Waves move in and out, yet the tide continues its progression. Be patient with your own unfolding. Plot balance also means allowing mystery. Not every question will be answered immediately. Not every desire will manifest on your timeline. There is choreography at play beyond your visible awareness. When you insist on immediate clarity, you disrupt your own peace. When you allow mystery, you deepen your trust. Can you sit in the unanswered moment and still declare, it is working out? That declaration is power. It shifts your nervous system. It steadies your breath. It tells the universe, I am aligned with a larger design. And alignment invites guidance. Suddenly, insight arrives. A new idea surfaces. A subtle intuition nudges you in a direction you had not considered. This is how the plot advances, not through force, but through inspired movement. You do your part, you listen, you act when called, and you release when it is time. Balance also requires compassion for yourself. Spiritual growth is not linear perfection. There will be days when fear feels louder than faith, days when doubt overshadows trust. In those moments, do not condemn yourself. Observe, breathe, return. The sky does not reject a cloud for appearing. It allows it and remains sky. Say to yourself, even in the midst of confusion, I am still aligned. I am still guided. This too serves my becoming. Let that affirmation soften the edges of uncertainty. Acting as if everything works out for you transforms your relationship with time. You stop rushing. You stop measuring your life against arbitrary milestones. You begin to understand that there is a rhythm unique to you. Comparison dissolves because comparison belongs to the ego's narrative of competition. The soul knows there is no competition in infinity. There is only expression. You are here to express a frequency that no one else can replicate. Your voice, your compassion, your creativity, they are singular. When you trust that everything works out, you stop imitating others and begin embodying yourself. And embodiment is magnetic. People feel safety around someone who trusts life. They feel steadiness. They feel possibility. You become a quiet lighthouse, not because you preach, but because you radiate. Your presence says, without words, storms pass, stay steady. And perhaps the greatest balance of all is between surrender and action. Too much surrender without action becomes avoidance. Too much action without surrender becomes strain. The harmony lies in acting from trust, not from desperation, in moving forward while remaining unattached to outcome. You plant the seed, you water it, you nourish it, and then you allow the sun, the soil, and the invisible intelligence of growth to do their part. You do not stand over the ground demanding immediate sprouts. You trust the unseen. Your life is filled with unseen processes right now. Conversations aligning behind the scenes, opportunities forming beyond your view, lessons integrating within your subconscious. Acting as if everything works out for you is aligning with those unseen processes instead of resisting them. So breathe into this truth. The story is not falling apart, it is unfolding. The tension you feel is not a sign of failure, it is a sign of movement. The uncertainty is not abandonment, it is invitation. Trust the arc, trust the rhythm. Trust the intelligence that beats your heart and guides your steps. Let your life have contrast. Let it have growth. Let it have mystery. And through it all, remain rooted in this unshakable knowing. Everything, every high, every low, every pause, every breakthrough is weaving together into a masterpiece beyond your current understanding. Act as if it always works out for you, not because the plot is simple, but because the author of the plot is infinite. And that author lives within you. And so now, at the quiet edge of this reflection, I invite you deeper still, beyond the words, beyond the metaphors, beyond even the idea of working out, into the felt experience of trust itself. Because trust is not a strategy. It is a state of being. It is the softening of the jaw, the unclenching of the fist, the release of the breath you did not realize you were holding. It is the gentle recognition that you were never separate from the intelligence guiding the stars. You have spent so much of your life bracing, bracing for disappointment, bracing for loss, bracing for the moment when something beautiful might be taken away, and in that bracing, you tightened around life itself. But what if nothing is being taken? What if everything is being given? Even the endings, even the goodbyes, even the silence. The ego interprets change as theft. The soul recognizes change as circulation. The tide does not apologize for going out. It knows it will return. The sun does not panic at dusk. It knows it will rise. Why, then, do you doubt your own rhythm? You are not a random event in a cold universe. You are a deliberate expression of infinite creativity. You are consciousness choosing to experience form. You are life exploring itself through your eyes. When you act as if everything always works out for you, you are not manipulating reality. You are remembering reality. You are remembering that fear is a contraction of imagination. You are remembering that love is the natural state of your being. You are remembering that peace is not earned, it is uncovered. Beneath the noise of your thoughts, there is a stillness. Beneath the roles you play, there is an essence. Beneath the striving, there is already completion. You have been seeking permission to rest, permission to believe, permission to trust. Let this be that permission. You do not have to see the entire staircase to take the next step. You do not have to solve the entire lifetime to embrace this moment. You only have to align with the now. And in this now, ask yourself gently, what if I am supported? What if I am guided? What if nothing has gone wrong? Feel how your body responds to that possibility. Feel the subtle shift. Feel the opening. That opening is alignment. You see, when you drop the need to control the script, you begin to enjoy the scene. When you release the obsession with outcome, you rediscover presence. And presence is where miracles reside. Miracles are not supernatural. They are shifts in perception. They are the dissolving of fear into understanding. They are the quiet realization that what once felt like punishment was preparation. Every experience has been shaping you, not to harden you, but to awaken you. Not to diminish you, but to deepen you. The disappointments carved humility. The uncertainty cultivated faith. The loss expanded your capacity for love. Nothing was wasted. Even the moments when you felt abandoned were invitations to discover the source within you that cannot abandon itself. You are not here to chase worthiness. You are here to embody it. You are not here to prove your value. You are here to remember it. And when you remember, something extraordinary happens.